right, so it's noon. Nice to see you all. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Ingrid Jean-Baptiste. I'm the founder and director of the Chelsea Film Festival here in New York City that will celebrate its 8th annual edition this fall from October 15th to the 18th in Chelsea, New York. And welcome today to the 8th episode of Chelsea Film Festival Talks TV series with some of the cast members from When They See Us, the docu-series by Ava DuVernay. Some people are saying there's no sound. Can you hear me? Can you hear me well? Okay, good. Okay, good. So it might be on your end then. So it's When They See Us today with Marquis Rodriguez and Ethan Herisse. You're going to be able to ask your questions in the chat box here on Zoom or on Facebook in the comments section. Please feel free to ask all your questions. And the conversation is broadcasted on Facebook if you are not on Zoom, or if you want to share the link with your friends right now, you can. Welcome to Marquis Rodriguez, who is in Virginia right now. He plays Raymond Santana, and he got his start actually on Broadway, playing the young Simba as in The Lion King. And in the Broadway production, but also in the national tour of The Lion King. He has many credits that includes the coming of age musical drama Saturday Church, but also Landline and Luke Cage, the Marvel series, Law and Order, Blue Bloods, The Affair, and many, many, many more that you can find on his IMDb page, but also he will probably talk about it today. And our next guest is Ethan Herisse. Nice to see you. Thank you for being here today. He plays Yusef Salam in When They See Us. He was nominated for an NAACP award last year. Congratulations for this honor. He has also many credits to his career, like the Mind You Project, Big Time Rush, About a Boy, and he is currently a full-time student at the University of Irvine. Thank you for coming. We have Emma Bell, who is our co-host. She's an actor, director, writer, and you've seen her in The Walking Dead, in Dallas, in the 5th installment of the Final Destination series. And right now she's really focusing on her writing and filmmaking. She actually completed a short film during quarantine. And most recently she completed the film Between the Pines that won many awards and that was selected at different film festivals across the US, including the Chelsea Film Festival, where she won Best Short Film Award. And so now I can hand it over to you, Emma.
Thank you, Ingrid. Okay, great. I'm unmuted. And thank you, everyone, for coming and joining us. We're really, really excited about talking to these guys today. They're amazing. I just got to chat with them. They're wonderful. So, you guys, I'm just going to jump into sort of the questions here. Obviously, When They See Us is a remarkably beautiful and heartbreaking story to watch, and I'm sure to be a part of. In fact, you guys are both so young in your career, such young actors, and you played these roles with such depth and such clarity that really comes with usually like a lot of time, in the spotlight and under the cameras. So I was just wondering, as a fellow actor myself, and both of you, please answer in your own time, but what did you do to prepare for these kinds of roles? Firstly, and then secondly, like, I'm sure you had to have some sort of self-soothing mechanisms as well, because I know that when you play a character that has to go through the trauma that your characters went through, you might need to figure out a way to like bring yourself down at the end of the day. So what were those experiences like?
You want me to? Yeah, sure.
Jump right in.
Yeah, no, I've been acting for over a decade, and that Raymond and When They See Us was by far one of the most difficult experiences I've ever had as an actor, but definitely one of the most rewarding. I think like right off the bat, it was really important to Ava that we were well informed. So I think like almost as soon as we were going to move forward and I was going to play this part, I was sent like a full Dropbox link with like everything. So all of Raymond's transcripts from his actual quote unquote interrogations, all of his confession tape, old photographs of him and what he looked like when he was young. And so I was inundated almost with information that was invaluable to me, like, and invaluable to the process. And then beyond that, like just meeting Raymond and actually being able to sit and speak with him. One of the first things that Ava had us all do, me and Freddie Miaris, who played older Raymond, and John Leguizamo, all went to dinner with Raymond and his father right at the start. And we got like such important stories and their takes on their truly awful experience. So it became for me mostly about just the information that was available to me, because actually being able to speak to Raymond, I got to sort of, he's such a, I've said this before, but he's a really bright light in a room. Like he's really like an amazing human being, and like just really there's a levity to him that I can't believe remained through all the things that he had been through. So for me, it was really important to try and capture that, because I can't even imagine what kind of 14-year-old he must have been, if even now as a grown man who has been through literal hell, to come out the other end and be as just incredible as he is now. So that was important to me, to try and capture just his boyhood and him being, young in the city before his childhood was essentially stolen from him. So that was like what was important to me, and meeting Raymond was one of the easiest ways to try and capture that.
Yeah, it's a lot of the same for me, where coming upon the audition from the beginning, I had no real knowledge of the case. So, and I originally auditioned for Yusef. So at first it was a lot of it was research. It was watching the Ken Raines documentary. It was looking for videos of Yusef just speaking, to pick up on any mannerisms and just see how he was as a person. But upon receiving the role and going to New York, the biggest help was, like Marquis said, meeting Yusef. And we had a really awesome meeting where it was me, Ingenue, Yusef, and Ava was there as well, where Yusef sat down and just kind of talked to us and discussed the relationship between him and his mother. He discussed him growing up in New York, and just how he was. And that was something that, was super important. And I think something else that really helped was Ava told us it is not, you cannot be these men in these roles. You cannot experience what they have experienced. What you can do is do your best to embody them and embody their spirit, and like Marquis said, embody their boyhood. And they gave us so much. They gave us so much in every interaction that we had, not only with our specific characters, but with the men as a whole. We got to see, their spirit, how wonderful each of them are. And it made embodying them as, just as teenagers, as boys with aspirations and dreams. And it made all of that a really, a lot easier. It relieved a lot of the pressure of playing such important roles.
Yeah, and can I just say to your other question too, like the whole process for me was like really cathartic. So like there wasn't much that for me had to go into like self-care afterward, or like making sure that I was okay mentally, because being on that set was such a beautiful experience. Being around Ethan and Asante and Jarrell and Khalil and Ava and every other actor on that set and every PA and every single human being on that set was so invested in making sure that the story was told well and that the story was told true and that we like uplifted the story of these men and like rose to that occasion. There was so much good energy in that direction that by even the really hard days, even the really hard scenes, by the end of the day, it was like, we got that done. That one's in the bag. Like we did that right. Like Raymond's right over there watching this and telling me that it was good. So there's something like hugely cathartic about that like any like blocked up, any like leftover negative feelings were like almost immediately washed away from me.
It was also using each other, you know. It was like Marquis and I, this is talked about a lot, especially just between us throughout the shoot. But there was a full week where it was me, Marquis, and Khalil shooting in court. And obviously those scenes were they were heartbreaking. They were rough scenes to shoot, but it was like in between, every take, it's like I always had Khalil and Marquis to my right and my left, like, and they were so easy to just talk to and hang out with. And we had Blair and Josh Jackson and Chris Jackson as well. And that was that entire group. It was just that whole week. It was difficult to shoot, but we had each other to look to and laugh with and just hang out and be with each other in between every take. And it was a really I remember that week being a really fantastic week. And then it was also like when all of us were together, the moment of like happiness that we all felt. They're like, I know we're about to shoot the scene where we're walking out of the precinct. Again, another heart-wrenching scene. The beginning of that day, when we all saw each other, we were jumping around in like a circle and screaming. It was just, we were just so excited to be together. So yeah, that contributed to not having to look towards the self and everything, because we had each other the whole time.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's so wonderfully put, you guys. Firstly, having a firsthand account for both of your real life counterparts had to have just been so invaluable. And I've seen a few interviews with those men, and it is incredible how they've all maintained, Marquis, I think you said, this light about them, despite the horrific injustice that they had to go through. So you guys all did such a fantastic job of bringing that kind of childlike loveliness to your characters, as well as layering and all of that depth. So, and that court scene, I think what's like episode 2 is hard to watch. It's just so heartbreaking, and you guys do such a great job. Speaking of, you mentioned this, Ethan, speaking of like having your friends, it was like you guys all felt like you all grew up together. The chemistry between all of you guys was so palpable. It felt like friendships that had been developed since you were like little tiny babes. So what was the audition process like for this? Were there chemistry reads? Were you able to like meet each other beforehand, or was it all just sort of like done on set?
So all of us have very different audition experiences. I know that mine, for the most part, was pretty standard. I had an audition callback, a director session with Ava, which was really awesome because we spent some time on the scene, but most of the time was spent on talking. Like, she was just kind of talking to me and about the character and about, things I've done in the past and so and such. And that was new to me. I had never gone to a director session and just talked. So, and then I think I was brought in again for a chemistry read a little while later with none of the guys. It was a chem read with the man who played Mateus Reyes, which was that was an interesting experience. But after that, I didn't hear anything for a little while, like about a month or so probably, and then I got a call, saying that I received it. So pretty standard. I know Marquis has a completely different experience.
Yeah, I was cast last pretty much. So I think we like I sent in a tape, and it was one of those things where I just like forgot about it because I was like, I hadn't heard anything back in whatever I would have considered a timely fashion at the time. So I was like, whatever, like it's okay, let it go. And then I got another call, and it was to like come in and meet the casting directors in person. I did that. That went really well. But again, I was like, whatever, it's fine. Don't get too excited. And then I got a director session with Ava, which was personally terrifying for me because one, like Ava DuVernay had been and still is one of my heroes. So like the idea of being in a room with her was terrifying because like I think Selma, I can't remember what year Selma came out, but I walked out of Selma and said to everyone that I was with, I am going to work with Ava DuVernay. It was not like I wish it would be amazing if without a doubt, unequivocally was going to work with Ava DuVernay. The next, I met her eventually at a director session for a show that I didn't end up booking, but going forward into this one, I was truly terrified because I was like, I'm gonna meet her again. Don't mess it up again. You know what I mean? And I went in there and I read the scenes, and Ava was like, yeah, because this part of the script. I was like, I wasn't given a full script. And I expected her to be like, why would you even come here if you hadn't read all this stuff? And she was so apologetic to me. She's like, I'm so sorry that you had to do this work without the full script. That's not fair. And I was like, oh no, it's okay. Thank you very much. And then like by the end of the director session or whatever, she just looked straight at me and said, do you think you can do this? Can you do this? And I have never been asked a question like that was like that important to me or to my life or to my career, to my work. And I truly sat there and thought about it and would have said no if I didn't think I could do it. Like I 100% would have said no, but I said yes. I absolutely can do this. And she said, great, all right, it's yours. In the room.
What?
I shook hands and sort of like blacked out for a second. Yep. And then, stepped outside of the building and just started running. And nowhere to go, just like backpack on, just started running down the block. Like I got like 2 blocks down and was like, what am I doing? Where am I going? Like fully blacked out, was in like fight or flight mode. And I chose flight. And it was insane.
That is like an actor's dream situation, to be told in the room. You don't have to question at all. You're just like,
it was
wait, what?
Like, I called my manager and my agents and let them know. Do you know what I mean? It was like,
that's hilarious. Does that mean they don't get a cut? You're like, sorry, you don't get a cut.
Sorry, guys. You guys didn't let me know. So.
That is incredible. Well, you manifested that, man.
Yeah, it was like one of the most like stark, clear examples of that I've ever had in my entire life. Like,
wow,
like the importance of like setting intentions.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's great. Well, I couldn't imagine either role filled by different actors, so everyone did well. She sounds great. I want to talk about her a little bit. She's obviously a visionary, as you just said, Marquis. She's incredibly inspirational. She's done so many wonderful things, especially, right now, I think, given what's going on in the world, a lot of people are watching a lot of her old, like her stuff from before. Yeah. I know for, just to call myself out, like I watched the 13th the other day and felt much better informed about something that I felt like I knew, but I didn't know enough, So she is just such a wonderful, wonderful filmmaker and storyteller. And it sounds like she's just wonderful to work for. What are some other things that you guys just really loved about working with her on set? I mean, it sounds like she was just kind of motherly and directory and all of these beautiful things combined.
Well, you said it when you said mothery. It was like, you always felt comfortable and safe working on set with her. You always felt comfortable and safe when she came to offer you redirection. And, in that moment, I think it was for all of us. It was like, if Ava comes up and has something to tell you, you're gonna listen and you're going to do it. And that was really awesome. And also just, it was amazing to be. This is something I'd never really experienced before, but it was amazing to wake up every day and just be like, I get to work with Ava today. Like that's something that I get to do, for the next few months, every day. Like it's so cool to feel that way about not only something that you're working on, but someone that you're working with, someone that's going to be doing, guiding you through this process. It gives you a lot of it. It just inspires you to do better on a day-to-day basis. So
that's awesome.
I've never. It was there was nothing like waking up and knowing you were going to work with Ava. There was also nothing like being full. Like, I mean, I'm sure this will come to no surprise to anyone because I'm an actor, but like I can be like incredibly insecure. So like, there's nothing like feeling as secure as she makes you feel. Like I will never forget like early on, especially in those court scenes, like that was some of the hardest work I had ever done as an actor. So I was just like, I felt adrift sometimes. I was just like, I don't even know what that was. Like, we'll see, and I'm so used to the fast pace of like being on sets like that. And just like, you're one and done. Like we're moving on, we're getting someone else's coverage. And I'm used to that being the reason why we're moving on, because we have to, because we don't have time. I remember like after one of the like particularly tough scenes for me, just like looking at Ava and being like, are you sure? Like, was that okay? Like, I can do it again. We don't have to, like, please. And she looked at me and said, I would not have moved on if I didn't get what I needed. And that was like mind blowing to me. I was like, oh, like I can fully just trust you now, because we're not moving forward unless you feel like you got what you needed from me. And then with that, I trusted her to push me the way that she pushed me, and like to make sure she got what she needed from me. And I always felt better after she, yelled cut, because it felt like she got what she needed.
That's such a beautiful relationship when actors can really, as you just said, trust their directors fully, because it is a vulnerable position actors are put in, and we can't, our job is to see kind of like we have to see the forest for the trees, but we also have to really like nurture our tree, and the director has to like take care of the whole thing, and so if you really trust that director's vision, that, as you said, it's kind of freeing, because you can just sort of let go and just experiment and try things, and go with your intuition and your gut, and they'll help steer you exactly where you need to be, which is great. And that doesn't always happen, so that's awesome that you guys had that experience. What was I going to say? I had a great question. Well, with Yusuf and Raymond, who I didn't know they were on set. That is incredible that they were able to watch you guys and kind of give you the like, great job, the little like, you did good, kid. Yeah. Do you guys still stay in touch with them at all, or did that relationship continue after shooting?
So yeah, I from time to time I talk to Yusuf. It's actually a few things that are really awesome. Earlier this year, he spoke at my college at UC Irvine. And that was really incredible, because I think the school tried to reach out to me and set something up where I introduced him or something, but I was not checking my emails. So like they kind of, it ended up just being like, I think they invited me or something, or I was just going to attend. And I came late because I was coming from LA. I was doing something in LA, and I came late. And I remember walking into the auditorium as he was speaking. He was like maybe 15, 20 minutes in. And he looks and he's like, is that Ethan? I was like, yes. And I started running down the aisle and came up on stage and gave him a big hug, because I think that was the first time since the Emmys in September that I had seen him. So that was a really awesome moment. And then I actually am going to reach out to him on Monday, because I'm going to be reading his audiobook. I'm going to be doing the audiobook for the book that he just released. So wow. Yeah, that the relationship is still there, and talk to each other from time to time. So yeah.
Oh, that's so great. How about you, Marquis?
Yeah, Raymond and I don't talk much, but like it's funny. Like I feel I have this whole weird like complex about like bothering him. Like I we interact on Instagram occasionally, but I'm always just like he's let him like live his life. I don't know. I have this like weird thing in my head where I like don't want to reach out too much because I like want to make sure that he's like, I don't know. He just looks so happy. I'm like always on his Instagram like checking on, and like he just is so happy right now, and I'm so happy for him, and I'm sending him like all the love and light and good energy, but like something about shooting him a text feels like not allowed to me. I don't know what it is.
I'm sure he would love it. You guys gave, all of you guys, the actors, Ava, the whole crew, and you guys gave them a voice. You gave them the voice that they weren't allowed to give themselves, and so that's something that I'm sure all of those guys, you probably mean so much to them in the same kind of way that they mean so much to you. So I bet you could reach out and he'd be very happy to hear from you. But I'm also sure that he has plenty of people that he's catching up with now, and super social and busy. Would you guys both say that, because you both have mentioned the court scene, would you say that the court scene was the hardest for you guys, like emotionally to do? I mean, it was emotional, obviously, and very horrifying. Yeah. But like, what would you say is the hardest scene that you had to do?
I will say the verdict. Doing those scenes that was pretty difficult. Because it was everyone was giving so much. From Marquis and Khalil, who were right next to me, to the parents, as the actors playing the parents. That was, and I just talking about it, I'm brought back to just like that entire scene, just how much everyone was giving. And I remember that after, I was really struggling. I was like back in the dressing room, and I was just really not in the best place. And my dad was like, "Hey, it's okay." Like, he's like, "It's okay. We're done now. Like, it's over. We're going home." And I'm just like, "But it's not." I was like, "It is not over. I mean, this is, first of all, this is the first time that for these men that they're going to see what happened to them. And it's like, it's been years. It's been so long, and people have no idea. And on top of that, this is still happening every day."
Right.
So I was like, I was just like, I couldn't let it go. I was like, no, it's not over. And I remember that one was after shooting that scene, that took a lot of time for me to really get back to a good place.
Yeah. I think the interrogation for me was definitely the hardest. Like, the verdict was one of those scenes that was cathartic, like how I was talking about before, right? So like, it was, for me, it was really wrapped up in like, this was an end of sorts for me. It was sort of like my I was beginning to be done with the whole process, and Freddie was going to come in, so it was all of those emotions were tied up in it. But it felt like a release, whereas like the interrogations were a more physical experience for me, and that stuff like lived in the body. I think like being like pushed around in that way by like largely like everything that happened in that interrogation scene is like has been one of my like biggest fears for as long as I can remember, being in a situation like that, being as powerless as you must feel, swearing by your innocence and having no one believe you. That's terrifying. So like, to have the emotional turmoil of that, but couple that up with like physically people sort of like pushing you around, and I was cuffed to a chair. It was like, it was stuff that lived in my body a little bit longer than I would have liked. It was something I'd never experienced the real thing. So I was trying to, bring myself as close as possible to it. And it was like, it was pretty scary, but even through that, like I was, again, so safe, so held by Ava and the whole team there. So it was never too scary. It was never too dangerous, but it was definitely the most difficult.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I can completely see that. That's kind of no one wants to be interrogated especially in that kind of a way, but there's an added burden on people who are not white in those situations. So I can completely see how even just trying to step into that, knowing that you're totally safe and you're with people who love you and care for you, your job is to believe in the imaginary circumstances completely. So you guys, I mean, it was just heartbreaking. Okay, last question before I hand it over to all of your beautiful fans is what's like, obviously you guys came away with so many wonderful things from this experience, but what would you say was like the most altering, like the most important thing that you learned from talking to the guys and putting yourself in their shoes and working on the whole experience? Like what did you take away that you're sort of like, you didn't have before that?
Something that what was really big for me was that from the whole, I don't know, the big thing I learned from the whole process is that I want to keep doing work like this. There's nothing more rewarding to be able to use my platform and the talent that I've been blessed with to give voice to those that that don't have one, or I give voice to those that don't have one, or tell stories that have been swept under the rug, or I don't continue to tell important stories, because there was just no feeling like being able to have dinner with all of the guys afterwards and Corey coming up and telling me you did a good job. Like, that's when I heard that was all I needed. I was like, okay, we did a good job. This is going to be great. They're going to, people are going to know and understand and finally hear a story, and it's going to be told in the right way. There's just no better feeling, and I just continue to do more and more of that for as long as I can.
Yeah, Ethan hit the nail on the head. Like walking away from that experience, it's really tough to like do anything that you're not passionate about, or like that doesn't like fulfill you and serve your community in that way. Because it's like, that's the most important thing. That's like why I want to keep doing this. And then I think beyond that, for me, it was like I left with this sort of like, I have an inability now to watch specifically young Black kids not be allowed to be kids. Like, I think I walked away from that experience with the intention to fight tooth and nail for Black children. I think this is a stark example of what happens when you steal youth from Black children, but like there are myriad other examples, tinier ways that we chip away at Black youth, like to make sure that they're a little less free, that they're a little less loud and a little less honest. And I think I walked away from that set and from that experience just with, I don't know, I don't think I'll ever be able to sit back and watch that. So if I can't watch it, then I want to make sure that every area of my life is at least slightly dedicated to making sure that like Black kids get to be kids.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautifully said. You guys actually inspired me to ask one more question, which is, because you both talk about wanting to tell important stories, which is great, and highlight and give voice to people who are maybe voiceless. So if you could come up with any, like, what other dream project, either real life story or a made up story or something like that, like, have you ever fantasized about like what your dream project? I mean, you kind of maybe just had it working with Ava Marquis, but like, what is there another like dream project you'd love, or like another story you'd love to bring to light in your careers?
Yes, I think like fantasy is so important to me, and it was like one of the it's like a building block of like who I am, like how like I just like grew up reading everything I could get my hands on fantasy wise, and so I think like a lot of that reading, a lot of that film and television that I grew up watching, like I didn't see myself reflected in it as much as it would have been like really incredible, like especially in my formative years, to see even in my imagination, even in the most imaginative scenarios, to see myself. It would have been beautiful. So like, you know, books like Children of Blood and Bone, like it's a phenomenal book, and reading it and knowing that they're making a film about it, I'm just like, let me be a part of that. Any tiny part of that, I'll do it, because like that's what I wanted. That's what I want to do. That's like one of the most important things to me, is making sure that, like, again, like Black kids get to see themselves represented in that way. So it's not always, you know, it's not always when they see us. It's not always these like detrimental stories about Black youth. It's also like about Black levity, and about, like, you know, the ability to reinvent yourself and to use your imagination to its fullest extent. So that's important to me. I'd love to do anything like that.
I want to see you do a lot of fantasy. As a fellow fantasy nerd, let's put Marquis in every single fantasy thing, because I would love that.
That's it. That's the goal.
I love that. I love that. How about you, Ethan?
So a recent theme, like, I've been talking to Asante a lot about this, about stories that are just kind of, they happen. It's like regular stories with that, and the focus on the person isn't, you know, the story isn't about a Black person rooted in their oppression. It's just a story about a family or a person that happens to be Black. I haven't seen a lot of that, and I want to see more. I want to be a part of it more. We bring this, I bring this up, and we bring this up time and time again, but the movie Waves, it's, I think, my favorite movie.
I was just gonna say Waves, Ethan.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
Waves. I'm gonna write that down.
Love that.
It's my favorite movie of 2019. And it was just, it was just a movie. It wasn't a movie about a family rooted in their oppression or anything like that. It was just, it could have been any family, but they just happened to be Black. And it was so, I had a deep level of appreciation for that. And I was like, well, why isn't there more of this?
Yes.
And, you know, that's something that further down the line, I want to see more of, I want to be a part of. But I also had an awesome opportunity another opportunity to give a voice to the voiceless. This past year, I went to Ethiopia to shoot a short film. Yeah, that was really, really awesome. Because it was, you know, just coming off When They See Us, I was looking for something where, again, I was passionate about, and it's called The Other Side. I was able to go out, and it's about they have a child orphanage situation in Ethiopia, and so I was able to she disappeared. Oh, there you go.
I'm here. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry.
My mom called. I had to decline. Sorry, Mom.
Right. I was able to portray an orphan that I actually got to meet as well, and that was another really cool and fulfilling experience.
Wow. Could you? I know this is not about the thing, but what's the storyline there? That's so interesting.
So it's about an orphan named Abel, and his younger brother Kia. Abel is about to turn 18 and graduate from the orphanage, which means he has to leave. And Kia's on the younger side, and it's just a struggle between them, because Abel, you know, after being an orphan for so long, has kind of lost hope in being adopted. It's like he's almost gone. But Kia hasn't lost that hope. Kia is still very hopeful and, you know, wanting to be adopted. And there's a struggle there, because Abel wants him to grow up. Abel doesn't want him to experience the heartbreak that he himself has experienced. So, yeah, it's mainly focused on that, and you know, a few of the struggles that an orphan in Ethiopia has to go through. So, you know, I was able to be in Ethiopia for like a week and a half, and that was it was just insane.
It's amazing.
Wow, that's so cool. You guys are awesome. I could talk to you for many more hours, but I should probably hand it over to your fans. Thank you again for being a part of today's discussion. Now I'm gonna watch Waves, so that's good. And I'm also gonna make sure that I see Marquis in like everything that I love fantasy-wise. I'll sign a petition. Let's get a petition going. You guys are the best. Ingrid, I'm going to hand it back over to you, right?
Thank you. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you.
So we have a lot of people they're actually telling us where they're from Argentina, Peru, Ecuador, Chile, Brazil, Singapore, Philippines. So just so you know, you have a lot of
Wow.
fans all over. Brooklyn, New York, Puerto Rico, London, UK. A lot of questions have been actually answered, but we have one question from Nicholas who asked, what was the biggest roadblock for you and how did you overcome it? And there's another one too. Who wants to answer that one?
Just in general, like just in life?
In general, yeah. I mean, in general, within the filming of When They See Us.
Oh, of When They See Us. Oh.
Yeah, we're going back to.
I was like,
okay.
my biggest roadblock. No, I don't know. I think like it's hard to say that anything felt quite like a roadblock while we were filming. I mean, there were. I don't know. I felt so supported, and I felt so. The road was like really smooth, and I think like what could have been a big roadblock was like at the very beginning of the process. It was a lot of work handed to me, and I had never been presented with so much work to do filming anything. So it could have been a roadblock, but I again, like I had so much support, and I think that like there was no room for like laziness. It was just like this had to be done, and it had to be done well, and I was the person that was chosen to do it. So let's get to work. So it could have been a roadblock, but it
was very supportive as you explained the whole ecosystem.
Yeah.
It was a machine.
And I think for me it was from time to time I think I would I think that from time to time I would be maybe on an off day or something, I would be I'd possibly hard on myself, or before like I said, like when before going on set one day I'm a little nervous, but then we get on set and that all kind of washes away. Because again, like Marquis said earlier, if I'm hard on myself after something, Ava wouldn't have moved on if she didn't have what she needed. So that was always something to feel secure in. And if I was ever nervous, once I got on set and once I started working with everyone, that immediately washed away, and it became, and then I remembered like this is not about me. It's much bigger than all of us. Yeah.
What keeps you going in the transitional period between projects? Especially during quarantine. I mean, right now it's like, I guess,
I think it's really easy. Yeah, I think it's really easy for me to feel like my worth and my work are intrinsically like entwined. Like I am like I need to be working so that I am anything, period. Like I think like it's really easy for me to fall into that trap. So what keeps me going is to make sure that I know that is not the truth. Like I am allowed moments of respite. I'm allowed moments of rest, and I'm allowed moments of just figuring it out. I think everyone should be allowed that, and everyone should allow themselves that. So I think like in those moments between work, it like keeps me going to make sure that like I know that's the work too, making sure I'm well rested and well read, and experiencing things that's just going to serve me as an actor more. So it's not always about like the project or the next thing. It's also about like your life and what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To that point, also, I don't know why my train of thought just.
That's okay. But have you? Someone is actually asking if you're still keeping in contact with Ava. Is there any? Yeah.
Yeah, from time to time. Yeah, she actually got on a live the other day with me and Asante, and and roasted us really quickly. That was very funny.
Always.
Because we were, I don't even know what was happening. We were like, we weren't doing much. I think someone had asked us a really strange question, and we were like kind of talking about it, but not to the people in the live, just to each other, which we have a bad habit of doing. And Ava came in and she was like, what did I walk in? Like, what did I just walk into? And she was like, you know what, guys, I'm gonna have to go. This isn't doing it for me. Thank you so much. I'm leaving. And so it was really, really funny because I think the last time she'd come on a live, she told us that we needed haircuts and like, but you know, she's a president. She's always there for us, even, you know, after all this time. I feel comfortable being able to go to her if I need, you know, advice on something, or she's just still there as a resource, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It's Ava.
Yeah.
Same for you, Marquis, or are you also, do you feel like you don't want to bother her?
Okay, so yeah, so that feeling is not unique to Raymond. It's pretty
Okay.
like pretty much everyone in my life. I'm like, am I bothering this person right now?
Right. Yeah.
No, but Ava does a good job of just like reaching out to all of us, and she texts us all the time, and like, I don't know, it's Ethan said it really well. Like it feels like an amazing, yeah, for lack of a better phrase, resource to have someone like Ava do. Like, I know I could text her. I know I could email her. I know I could like ask for a quick phone call if I needed her input or her advice, and that's like extremely comforting, especially now, especially in this business, especially when it's so easy to make the wrong move, and to have someone like Ava who has made so many right moves, so many correct moves in the right direction. It's incredibly comforting. Yeah. Oh, there she is.
I'm gonna read a question. It's a really tough one. Guys, how old are you?
Oh, so tough.
Marquis, if you would like to take that away.
I am 23 years old.
Madness doesn't look a day over 19, which is my age. I am 19 years old.
Killing it.
Wait, actually, I want to know this about you. I was just interviewing you like last week, and now I'm doing it again. I like this question. When you were younger, was there a specific movie or actor that inspired you to start acting, or just in general?
That's a really hard one for me. So like, I didn't grow. It's so weird for me. Like I grew up watching like animated things like a ton, and just like understanding that was like voice work even at a really young age, and like wanting to do that. Like I was like, I know that these are actors, and then like even beyond like having like a specific movie that I watched a ton, or like a specific actor that I had idolized, it was more like I knew that somewhere out there someone had made a career out of playing pretend, and I couldn't even wrap my head around how incredible that sounded, and how like amazing and fun and free that would feel. So it was more about the feeling for me than it was about like any specific performance or film, which is a lame answer, because so many people want to know like who your favorite actor is, or like what the most pivotal film was that you watched. And like, truly there are myriad films that I watched as a kid that I love, that have inspired me and influenced me. But more than that, it was like this like innate desire to play pretend.
Yeah. I don't think same here, where it's not like a specific performance or movie. I feel like even now it's really difficult to do that. Like it's multiple movies, it's multiple performances. But when it came to starting it all, for me it was pretty much just like the only one like actor that I had seen on my TV just a lot, time after time after time, was Will Smith.
Yeah.
It was just Will, where like reruns of Fresh Prince, or like this is a funny one. Hancock.
Oh yeah, I remember that movie.
Because I know that for my dad it was such a huge deal because like this is the first time I've seen like a black like superhero type thing. And it
Yeah,
was the movie that played like over and over and over again in my house. So it was like, I think when I began to start, it was like that was kind of thing. I was just like, oh, I want to be like Will Smith. He's
yeah,
like Will Smith is awesome. He's a
yeah,
really cool dude. I think um that's the only, and growing up there weren't many people to really, I feel like you have it was difficult to find like actors that looked like me,
yeah,
to constantly find them on screen.
yeah,
So it was a very, small list, and Will was the one that just like popped out to me at a young age.
for sure.
So I think we have time for two more questions. Okay, let me see here. We have an aspiring actress, a Latin woman. She's asking any tip for her who wants to be an actress. How should she start in the business?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's hard because it's like it's a really individual experience, right? It's really like
Mm-hmm.
there's no one right way. The
Absolutely.
thing that I always say is just like take class, like just like take class all the time if you can, and just like really see. And that might be like a super cheap answer, but just like there's a lot of like there's just a lot that goes into it that like yeah, sometimes just wanting it isn't enough. You have to also like
Be part of it. And
you have to be part of it. Yeah, and you have to like exactly. That was yes, Ingrid. That was perfect. Like that's where you get that community. Like
Mm.
I can't tell you how many people I know that like have gotten jobs or like have gotten work or whatever just from their community.
right.
And that is important. That's so important to like know people that are in it in the same way that you are, and that like know more than you do, and be open to being taught. Yeah.
I have this same answer.
Yeah.
That's the for the most part, that's the answer I always give. Start, taking classes and just absorbing information on the craft. And I think from that point on, a lot of opportunities will begin to present themselves, and then from being a part of that community. So, yeah, you hit it exactly.
Danielle wants to know what you've been reading, consuming, absorbing, as what type of novels or books you've been reading during the quarantine, or also specific series or film that you love that we can watch.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot actually. I read the Discovery of Witches, this series, this like fantasy series, this like trilogy of books that was actually like really phenomenal, kind of infuriating, but really good. I just finished Americana, which was like
Oh,
phenomenal, 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 phenomenal. I mean, like if you want to read a book that makes you feel like you're on a runaway train, but also a fly on the wall in a very private conversation, if that makes sense. Like it's like wildly uncomfortable, but truly like phenomenal points made about like race in America and what it means to be a Black woman in America. It was just really, really enlightening for me. And right now I'm reading the new Hunger Games book, which it feels like a huge throwback to my childhood.
There's a new Hunger Games book?
Yeah, there's a new one. There's like a prequel. It's crazy. It's a wild ride.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. For the most part, it's been difficult for me to watch stuff because during quarantine I've been doing online school and everything. Now that I've got out, and now it's gonna try and start building a list of things that I want to watch. I know that recently, what are some movies that I loved? I'll actually give the last movie that I watched that if you haven't seen, please do. The Pianist.
The Pianist. Beautiful.
That movie was phenomenal. I think I watched it 2 nights ago. And it was like it's a very difficult watch, but I feel like it was really important, especially because you know, I throughout this time I think it's important to, I don't know, educating yourself on all the ways that not just, you know, Black people are oppressed worldwide, but also see, you know, looking at other groups as well. Because I've been having a lot of conversations where seeing that where I've been told that anti-Semitism is like really still a very big thing. Um, so watching that movie kind of, you know, it brought all of that into, just reminded me of all of that. And Adrian Brody was just phenomenal. Like, Jesus Christ, he was so good. And it's just a really well done movie. And I think I broke down at the end when I realized that it was like based off of, you know, it was like a true story. So yeah, that's the only recommendation I can give. Like I said, I'm building a list because it's now summer break and I can actually do things. So
Yeah, thank you for sharing. That's a great movie. That's one of my favorites, actually.
yeah, it's fantastic.
It's a great recommendation. Oh my gosh, there's so many, you know, questions are coming in, and we are almost out of time, but I want to make sure that we can at least answer to one more question. Can you share with us, what changes would you like to see on set post-COVID and with the Black Lives Matter in mind? Black Lives Matter movement in mind. So that's a big one.
More brown and Black people in hair and makeup rooms when you
Yes.
have working with your Black.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Yes.
really? Do you have any anecdotes?
Well, I actually just told this story yesterday, but on When They See Us, it was we were camera testing, and the man that plays older Yusef, Chris Chalk, we were we were in the hair and makeup room, and he walks in, and this is the first interaction I have had with this man. But he walks in and he looks at the room. His mouth goes wide open. He puts his hands on his cheeks and he's just in shock. And we're like, "Hey, what's up?" And he's just like, "I have never seen this many Black and brown people in a hair and makeup room." Yeah. And Chris Chalk has been, you know, he's been acting for quite a while. I will say he's a seasoned actor. And to hear that from him, someone who's been working much longer than I have, was insane to me. Because it also settled with me. It was like, oh, neither have I. I was like, that settled with me, and I was like, wait, that makes this process already so like cooler, somehow cooler, but also why is that the first time he's seeing this?
Yeah.
Why is that the first time I'm seeing this? That, like, I was like, that's something that should be looked at. That's something that should be addressed and fixed. So
Yeah, I completely agree with Ethan. Definitely more Black and brown people in hair and makeup. Like, I think it's an absolute shame, and like it's really disappointing that Black people, especially Black women, go on sets and like enter into these like really really sensitive places, right? These like really like, it should be like very, very safe, and they're entering into these spaces with the not only like acceptance of it, but like expecting like to be embarrassed, like expecting to be let down, and expecting to not have someone there that understands what they need and like what will make them look and feel good. That's embarrassing. Like that should be that's insane. That there no one you can't produce good work as an actor, at least if you're feeling that insecure, or if you're feeling that unsupported. Black hair is you know, very specific, and there is no one right way to do it, but a good first step would be having a person of color be in charge of maintaining it.
Exactly.
So I fully agree with that.
Yep.
And then post-COVID, I have no idea. I don't know what post-COVID
Is, right?
what that is, what that's going to look like. I
We
hope,
don't know.
you know, I hope that moving forward, everyone,
God knows. I was
yeah,
gonna, and when
I
it's
hope,
going to end, you know?
yeah, I just hope everyone's invested in like keeping everyone safe and healthy. But beyond that, I don't know what that looks like or what that will feel like or sound like.
Yeah, wearing a mask and doing your entire scenes with a mask.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to work it in.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. I just pasted in the chat box your links, so please follow them on Instagram. And so yeah, we're out of time now, but if you have not seen the series, please watch it. It's When They See this is I was gonna say This Is Us. I got it's When They See Us. It's When They See Us by Ava DuVernay. It's still on Netflix, and I believe it's free for now. I believe it's available even if you don't have a Netflix account. They just made it available for everyone.
I know Selma and 13th were like that for a while. So
Okay,
maybe When They See Us as well. That would be really cool.
Anyway, awesome. It's very cheap to get a free membership, on Netflix now. So watch it, tell your friends to watch it, follow Marquis and Ethan on Instagram. And the replay will be available on our YouTube channel. It's also in the links. There's so many thanks from everyone in Argentina and everywhere else in the world. Thank you all for joining us. And hopefully we'll stay in touch, and then we invite you to the Chelsea Film Festival.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I hope to see you in New York City.
Yeah, I would love that.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a beautiful weekend. Stay safe and healthy.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you for coming on today. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.